The year was 2147. Humans had only been part of the galaxy for a short time. They came in peace. They traded food, machines, and ideas with other species. Most aliens saw humans as weak and new. They thought humans would never fight hard or long. The Galaxy Empire was the biggest power in known space. It was ruled by the Zereth Dominion. The Zereth were tall, with hard gray skin and sharp black eyes. They believed they were born to rule everything. They had conquered hundreds of worlds over thousands of years. They did not like new races who did not bow quickly. Earth sent a small group to a meeting on Valor Prime. Valor Prime was a neutral planet where many species talked and made deals. The humans wanted better trade rules and safe travel lanes. 3 women led the human team. They were not politicians. They were generals from Earth's Unified Defense Force. General Laura Bennett was the first. She was 42 years old. She had short brown hair and calm green eyes. She spoke little, but listened to everything. People respected her because she always found smart ways to win without losing many lives. She had stopped 3 pirate attacks in the outer systems, using only small ships and clever plans. General Nicole Harper was next. She was 38. Her black hair was tied in a tight bun. She moved fast and thought even faster. In training, she had beaten every simulation the computers could throw at her. Soldiers called her the Blade because she cut through problems like a sharp knife. She never raised her voice. She did not need to. General Amanda Foster was the youngest at 35. She had red hair and bright blue eyes that seemed to see through walls. She grew up on a rough colony world. Life there taught her to fight dirty when needed. She was kind to her troops, but merciless to enemies who broke rules. Many young officers wanted to serve under her. The 3 generals wore simple gray uniforms with the Earth emblem on the shoulder, a blue globe crossed by a white olive branch. They carried no big weapons, only small sidearms for self-defense. They came to talk, not to fight. The Zerath sent their own group to the meeting. Lord Corin Vex led them. He was a high noble with gold lines painted on his face. He wore heavy black armor, even though the meeting was peaceful. Behind him stood 20 elite Zerath guards. Each guard carried a long energy spear and wore masks that hid their faces. The talk started well. Both sides sat at a large round table made of smooth white stone. Translators turned words from one language to another. Humans asked for open trade lanes. The Zerath asked for rare metals from Earth mines. Everyone smiled and nodded. Then Lord Corin stood up. His voice was cold and loud. "You humans think you belong among us," he said. "You are young. You are soft. You have no right to sit as equals." General Laura Bennett answered calmly. "We do not ask for equality. We ask for fair rules so ships can travel safely." Lord Corin laughed. The sound echoed in the big hall. "Fair rules are for the strong. The weak obey." Before anyone could reply, the Zerath guards moved. They moved fast. Energy spears hummed with blue light. The human security team, only 10 soldiers, tried to stand in front. They were cut down in seconds. Blood splashed on the white stone floor. General Nicole Harper pulled her sidearm. She fired twice. 2 guards fell, but more came. A spear stabbed through her chest. She dropped without a sound. General Amanda Foster grabbed a chair and threw it at the nearest guard. The chair broke against his armor. She fought with her hands, kicking and punching. A spear caught her in the side. She fell to one knee, but still tried to stand. Another spear ended her fight. General Laura Bennett did not run. She stood tall. She looked straight at Lord Corin. "This is murder," she said. "The galaxy will see." Lord Corin smiled. "The galaxy will see strength." One guard stepped forward. His spear went through her heart. Laura Bennett fell slowly. Her green eyes stayed open, staring at the ceiling. The Zareth did not stop there. They took small cameras from their armor and recorded everything. They sent the video to every major world in the galaxy. The message was clear. Humans are nothing. Cross the Empire and you die. Back on Earth, the video arrived at 3 in the morning. People woke to alarms. Screens in every home, office, and street showed the same images. 3 generals, strong, brave women, cut down while trying to talk peace. In New York, crowds gathered under giant screens. No one spoke at first. Tears ran down faces. In Beijing, workers stopped their machines and stared. In Lagos, market sellers turned off music and listened. In Sydney, children asked parents why the women were killed. The president of Earth, Daniel Hayes, called an emergency meeting. He was a quiet man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been a teacher before politics. Now he sat at the head of a long table. Military leaders, scientists, and factory bosses waited for his words. He looked at the frozen image of General Laura Bennett on the wall screen. "They killed them in peace," he said. "They laughed while they did it." No one answered. The room was silent. Daniel Hayes stood up. His voice was low but firm. "We will not beg. We will not forgive. We will answer." He turned to the head of the fleet. "Admiral Stephen Brooks, prepare every ship we have." Admiral Brooks was 61. His face was lined from years in space. He nodded once. "All ships, sir?" "Every one," the president said. "No limits, no rules. We fight until the Zarath Empire is gone." The admiral left the room. Orders flew out across Earth and the colonies. Factories that built passenger ships changed to warship lines. Engineers worked day and night. Scientists opened old files. Plans for weapons Earth had not used since the last big war on the home planet. People volunteered by the millions. Young men and women lined up at recruitment centers. Old soldiers came back to service. Factory workers refused to sleep. Everyone knew the same thing. This was not about revenge only. This was about survival. If the Zarath thought humans were weak, they would learn the truth the hard way. In small towns and big cities, families said goodbye. Mothers hugged sons. Fathers kissed daughters. Children drew pictures of spaceships with Earth flags. Everyone understood one simple fact. The generals were dead. Earth was awake. And Earth was angry. Earth changed overnight. The anger from the video did not fade. It grew stronger every hour. Factories that once made cars and farm tools now built guns, missiles, and ship parts. Workers wore the same clothes for days. They slept on floors next to machines. No one complained. Everyone knew why they worked so hard. President Daniel Hayes spoke to the people on every screen. His face looked older than before. "Our generals were killed while we tried to make friends," he said. "The Zarath think we are soft. They are wrong. From this day, Earth fights back. No half measures. No mercy until justice comes." People cheered in the streets. Flags with the blue globe appeared everywhere. Volunteers filled every recruitment office. Young people who dreamed of college now signed up for space training. Older men and women who had fought in small wars years ago dusted off their uniforms. Families sent sons, daughters, husbands, and wives to the stars. Tears fell, but backs stayed straight. Admiral Stephen Brooks took charge of the new fleet. He was not young anymore. His hair was white. Scars from old battles marked his arms. But his mind was sharp. He knew ships. He knew war. He stood on the bridge of his command ship, the Indomitable. It was the biggest human warship ever built. Its hull was thick steel mixed with new alloys. Its engines could push it faster than most alien ships. "Get me reports from every yard," he told his officers. "I want numbers. How many fighters? How many cruisers? How soon can they fly?" Engineers worked without stop. They took old colony ships and turned them into carriers. They added launch bays for small attack craft. They fitted heavy railguns that fired metal slugs at high speed. No fancy energy beams, just simple, fast, hard-hitting weapons. Humans like things that worked every time. Scientists opened sealed files. Some plans came from Earth's old wars, before space travel. Kinetic rods from orbit. Bombs that used antimatter in small amounts. Swarms of tiny drones that could block sensors or explode on contact. One team built a new torpedo. It carried a warhead that punched through shields, then released acid that ate metal from inside. The first test happened in secret above Mars. A captured Xerath scout ship, taken months earlier, was used as a target. The new torpedo hit. Shields failed in seconds. The hull melted like ice in fire. The admirals watched and nodded. This would do. Small fights started at the edges. Xerath patrol ships near human colonies vanished. No signals, no wreckage, just empty space. The Empire sent messages demanding answers. Earth sent nothing back. Then a bigger clash came. A Xerath battle group, 12 heavy cruisers, moved toward the human mining world called Haven 4. They planned to take the rare metals and teach humans a lesson. Captain Olivia Grant led the defense. She was 34, short blonde hair, quiet voice. But her eyes burned when she gave orders. She had 3 frigates and a dozen fighters. Small force, but she knew the system well. She hid her ships behind an asteroid field. When the Xerath entered, she waited. The enemy spread out to search. Olivia struck the lead cruiser first. Her fighters flew in low. They dropped mines that stuck to the hull. Explosions ripped open engine bays. The cruiser slowed. Olivia's frigates moved next. They fired railguns in short bursts. Slugs punched holes through armor. Xerath returned fire. One frigate lost its wing, but the others kept shooting. Olivia sent a message to her crew. Remember the generals. No retreat. The battle lasted 6 hours. Xerath ships burned one by one. Their crews tried to board human vessels. Humans met them in corridors with rifles and knives. Close fights were bloody. Humans did not stop. Even wounded soldiers kept firing. In the end, 10 Xerath cruisers became floating scrap. 2 escaped, damaged, and leaking air. Captain Olivia Grant lost 1 frigate and half her fighters, but Haven 4 stayed free. News of the fight spread fast. Other human captains heard it. They copied her tricks. Hide, strike fast, hit weak points, leave no one alive. The Xerath started to fear the dark spaces between stars. They wondered what waited there. Back on Earth, factories doubled speed. New ships launched every week. The fleet grew. Old cargo haulers became troop transports. Passenger liners turned into hospital ships. Everything had a job now. Admiral Brooks called his top officers to a meeting on the Indomitable. Screens showed maps of the frontier. Red dots marked Xerath bases. Blue dots showed human worlds. "We do not defend only," he said. "We attack. We take the fight to them. Hit supply lines. Cut fuel depots. Make their fleets starve." One officer asked, "What if they come in bigger numbers?" "Then we make them pay more. Every ship we lose, they lose 10. Every world they touch, we burn their homes." The room stayed quiet. Then everyone nodded. On the colonies, people built defenses. Farmers turned tractors into armored vehicles. Miners made bombs from drill charges. Children learned first aid. Old people taught young ones how to shoot. No one waited to be saved. Everyone prepared to fight. In one small town, on a moon called Epsilon, a woman named Clara Evans led the local militia. She was 56. She had gray hair and strong hands from years of fixing machines. When the call came, she stood in the town square. "If they come here," she told her neighbors, "we hold the line. For Laura, for Nicole, for Amanda, for every human who died trying to talk peace." People cheered. They sharpened tools. They filled sandbags. They watched the sky. Months passed. The Xerath sent spies. They watched human worlds from far away. What they saw scared them. Shipyards glowed day and night. Ports filled with warships. Training fields shook with marching boots. Humans were not crying anymore. They were building. They were training. They were getting ready. Lord Corin Vex, the one who ordered the killings, sat in his palace on the Zareth homeworld. He watched reports. At first he laughed. "Primitives playing at war," he said. But the laughter stopped. More ships vanished. More bases went silent. His officers looked worried. "Send the Grand Armada," he ordered. "Crush them before they grow too strong." The orders went out. Millions of Zareth ships began to move. The Empire thought one big push would end it. They did not understand yet. Humans did not fight fair. Humans did not fight clean. Humans fought to win. And when humans decided to win, nothing stopped them. The frontier grew quiet. Too quiet. Everyone waited. The real war was about to start. The Zareth Empire decided it was time to end the human problem. Lord Corin Vex stood in the Great War Hall on their homeworld. Huge screens showed maps of stars. Red lines marked the path of the Grand Armada. Millions of ships, dreadnoughts, cruisers, fighters, moved like a dark cloud toward human space. The Zareth believed one big push would crush the upstarts. They thought humans would run or beg. "Send word to every fleet commander," Lord Corin said. "No prisoners. Burn their worlds. Show the galaxy what happens to those who resist." The Armada launched. It took weeks for all ships to gather. When they moved, space itself seemed to bend. Engines glowed bright. Weapons charged. The Empire felt sure of victory. Humans knew the attack was coming. Scouts and small stealth ships watched from far away. They counted the enemy numbers. They sent tight beam messages back to Earth. Admiral Stephen Brooks read the reports on the bridge of the Indomitable. His face did not change. He turned to his officers. "They come with everything they have," he said. "Good. Let them come close. We will meet them." Captain Olivia Grant received new orders. She now commanded a fast strike group, 20 cruisers and 60 fighters. Her ships waited near the Orion Spur, a narrow path of stars the Zareth had to cross. She hid her force behind gas clouds. Sensors stayed low. No signals, no lights, just silence. The first Zareth wave arrived. 500 heavy ships. They moved in perfect lines. Commanders shouted orders. They expected easy targets. Instead, nothing happened at first. The humans waited. Then, Olivia gave the word. Fighters poured out like angry insects. They flew low and fast. They dropped guided mines. The mines waited until Zareth's ships passed close, then exploded. Shields flared. Hulls cracked. Engines died. The perfect lines broke into chaos. Cruisers followed. Railguns roared. Slugs hit weak spots. Engine ports, weapon arrays, bridge domes. Zareth ships fired back. Beams cut through space. One human cruiser lost half its side, but the others kept moving. They twisted and turned. They used the gas clouds for cover. They struck and ran. Olivia stood on her bridge. Her voice stayed calm. "Focus fire on their command ships. Take out the leaders. The rest will panic." Her gunners obeyed. A Zareth dreadnought, the biggest in the wave, lit up with hits. Its shields dropped. A second volley punched through. The ship broke in two. Fire bloomed in the dark. Cheers came from human crews, but they did not last long. More work waited. The battle stretched over days. Zareth kept coming. Humans kept hitting. When ammo ran low, ships pulled back to hidden supply points. Fresh missiles arrived. Fresh crews rotated in. No one slept much. Coffee and quick meals kept them going. On the ground, things got worse for the Zareth. They tried to land troops on human colony worlds. Dropships fell from the sky. Soldiers in heavy armor marched out. They expected fear. They found traps. On the world called New Dawn, civilians had prepared for months. They dug tunnels under cities, They hid snipers in tall buildings. They wired bridges to explode. When Zerath troops advanced, the ground opened. Mines went off, buildings fell, snipers picked off officers. The invaders slowed, then stopped, then died. A Zerath commander sent a message to his superiors. These humans fight like animals. They use every trick. They do not surrender. The reply came fast. Push harder. Break them. But breaking humans was not easy. Admiral Brooks planned the next big move. He gathered his best captains on the Indomitable. Maps glowed on the table. Fingers pointed at weak points in the Zerath line. "We hit their fuel depot at Gamma Reach," he said. "No fuel, no ships fly far. We starve their armada." Captain Olivia Grant volunteered to lead the raid. Her group slipped through enemy patrols. They moved silent and dark. When they reached Gamma Reach, they found a huge station. Tanks full of plasma fuel. Guards everywhere. Olivia sent fighters in first. They drew fire, distracted the guards. Then cruisers moved close. Boarding teams launched. Men and women in armored suits flew across the gap. They cut into the station hull. Inside, fights broke out in narrow halls. Zerath soldiers used energy spears. Humans used rifles and grenades. Blood covered the walls. One team reached the main tanks. They planted charges. The leader, Sergeant Matthew Klein, set the timer. 10 minutes, he said. "Get out now." They ran. Explosions followed. The station bloomed into a bright fireball. Fuel burned fast. The shockwave pushed ships away. Half the Zerath armada lost power. Engines went cold. They drifted. Ships, without fuel, could not fight or run. Commanders argued. Some wanted to retreat. Lord Corrin refused. "We crush them here," he ordered. But humans did not stop. They boarded drifting ships. They fought room to room. They took no prisoners. When a Zerath captain begged for terms, the human officer answered, "You gave our generals no terms. You get none." Word spread through the human fleet. "Remember the generals." It became a battle cry. Soldiers whispered it before fights. It kept them strong. On Earth, factories worked faster. New ships launched every few days. Volunteers kept coming. Wounded soldiers returned to fight as soon as they could walk. Doctors worked long hours. Engineers found new ways to make weapons stronger and faster. One night, Admiral Brooks stood alone on the observation deck. He looked at the stars. He thought of Laura Bennett, Nicole Harper, and Amanda Foster. He had known them all, respected them. "They trusted peace," he said to the empty room. "We will make sure no one trusts it again, unless they earn it." He turned back to the bridge. More reports waited. More battles waited. The Zerath armada started to crack. Ships pulled back. Formations broke. Commanders yelled at each other. Fear spread. They had come to teach a lesson. Now they learned one. Humans pushed forward, step by step, world by world. They took back what was theirs. They moved closer to the heart of the Empire. The tide had turned. The Zerath no longer laughed. They ran, but there was nowhere left to hide. Human ships moved deeper into Zerath space. They left the frontier behind. Now they struck at the heart of the Empire. Every jump brought them closer to worlds the Zerath once thought safe. The enemy no longer laughed. They hurried to build new defenses. They pulled ships back from far colonies. But it was too late. Humans were already inside. General Ryan Mitchell led one attack group. He was 45 years old, tall and quiet. His dark hair had started to turn gray at the sides. He had spent years studying old battles on Earth. He knew how to find weak spots. His flagship was the Vanguard. It carried heavy armor and long-range guns. Behind him followed 40 cruisers and hundreds of fighters. His orders were clear. Cut the supply lines. Starve the big Zerath fleets. Make their soldiers hungry and tired. He chose targets carefully. fuel stations, food depots, repair yards. One by one, they fell. On the world called Kalis Prime, a huge supply base sat in orbit. It held enough fuel for half the Empire's ships. Zareth guards watched the skies. They felt safe because the base was far from the front. Then human ships appeared without warning. General Ryan sent small teams first. Stealth shuttles slipped past patrols. Soldiers in black suits landed on the station. They moved like shadows. They planted small bombs on power lines. When the bombs went off, lights died. Alarms screamed. Guards ran in every direction. At the same time, the main force attacked. Fighters swarmed the defense platforms. Railguns fired fast. Shields cracked. The station tried to fight back. Beams hit a few human ships, but most kept coming. A cruiser named Thunder broke through. It fired torpedoes straight into the main fuel tanks. The explosion was bright enough to see from the planet below. Fire spread fast. Chunks of metal flew in all directions. The supply base became a cloud of burning gas. Zareth ships nearby lost power. They drifted helpless. Human boarding teams moved in. They took what weapons they could. They left no one alive. News of the loss reached Lord Corin Vex. He sat in his throne room. His gray skin looked pale. Officers stood around him. They spoke in low voices. "We lose more every day," one said. "Our fleets cannot move without fuel." Lord Corin slammed his fist on the arm of his chair. "Then find more fuel. Take it from the outer worlds." But the outer worlds were already gone. Humans had taken them, or burned them. Admiral Catherine Ellis commanded another group. She was sharp and fast. Her hair was short and silver. She liked to strike where the enemy did not expect. Her plan was bold. She aimed for Nexus Prime. It was the center of the Zareth command network. From there, they sent orders to every fleet. If Nexus fell, the Empire would go blind. She gathered her best people. Lieutenant Grace Sullivan led the special team. Small but strong, she had trained in zero-gravity fights. She knew how to move in space without sound. Her team carried quantum disruptors, small devices that could break hyperlane links. Without those links, ships could not jump far. Admiral Catherine sent her ships close to Nexus Prime. They pretended to attack head-on. Big guns fired. Fighters screamed past defense rings. The Zareth rushed to meet them. They pulled ships from the command hub to fight. That was the moment Grace moved. Her team launched in small pods. They flew dark and silent. They landed on the outer ring of the hub. They cut through the hull. Inside, they found narrow service tunnels. Guards were few. Most had gone to the battle. Grace led her team deeper. They passed machine rooms. They passed power cores. They reached the main control room. Guards stood there. Grace threw a flash grenade. Bright light filled the room. Her team rushed in. Rifles barked. Guards fell. They placed the disruptors. Grace set the timers. 5 minutes, she said. We leave now. They ran back through the tunnels. Behind them, alarms wailed. The hub shook. When the disruptors went off, a wave of energy spread. Hyperlane gates collapsed. Lights on screens died. Orders stopped. Zareth commanders stared at blank maps. Their fleets were cut off. No way to talk. No way to join together. The Empire broke into small pieces. Admiral Catherine saw the change on her screens. She smiled for the first time in months. "Push forward," she ordered. "Take the hub." Human ships moved in. They boarded the broken station. Fights happened in every hall. Zareth soldiers fought hard. But they were tired, hungry, scared. Humans were not. They remembered the generals. They fought with cold anger. Grace Sullivan stood on the command deck. She looked at the dead screens. She thought of General Laura Bennett. "This is for you," she whispered. The battle for Nexus Prime lasted 3 days. In the end, the hub belonged to humans. They did not destroy it, they used it. They sent false orders to Zareth fleets. Some fleets turned back. Some attacked their own ships by mistake. Chaos grew. Lord Corran watched from his palace. Reports came in fast. Bad reports. Worlds surrendered. Fleets vanished. His officers begged him to talk peace. Never, he said. We are the Empire. We do not bow. But even he felt fear now. On Earth, people followed every victory. Screens showed live feeds from ships. Crowds gathered in streets. They cheered when a Zareth base burned. They cried when human ships were lost. But no one asked to stop. The anger still burned. President Daniel Hayes spoke again. We did not start this war, he said. They did. Now we finish it. Factories kept working. New soldiers kept training. Ships kept launching. The machine of war ran smooth and fast. General Ryan Mitchell planned the next step. He looked at maps. His finger stopped on the Zareth homeworld. There, he said. That is where it ends. Admiral Catherine agreed. We go together, all fleets, one final push. They gathered their forces. Hundreds of thousands of ships, millions of soldiers. They moved as one, slow at first, then faster, like a storm rolling in. The Zareth tried to stop them. They sent everything left. Old ships, young pilots, desperate attacks. But humans were ready. They had learned every trick. They broke through line after line. In one fight, the Indomitable led the charge. Admiral Stephen Brooks stood on the bridge. He watched enemy dreadnoughts come close. Full speed, he ordered. Ram if you have to. The ship pushed forward. Guns never stopped firing. It took hits. Armor cracked. But it kept going. It crashed through a Zareth line. 3 enemy ships broke apart. The Indomitable kept flying. The path to the homeworld opened. Humans did not cheer loud. They saved their breath. They knew the hardest fight waited. The Empire felt the end coming. Planets emptied. Rich people fled. Soldiers deserted. Lord Corran stayed in his palace. He stared at the sky. He saw the human fleet on his screens. A dark wave. Endless. He whispered one word. How? No one answered. The reckoning drew near. The human fleet reached the Zareth homeworld. It was called Zarathia Prime, a big blue-green planet with golden cities and tall towers. From space it looked peaceful, but now the sky above it filled with thousands of human ships. They moved slow and steady, like a storm cloud that would not go away. Admiral Stephen Brooks stood on the bridge of the Indomitable. He looked at the main screen. The planet filled the view. Defenses glowed around it. Orbital platforms, laser rings, missile batteries. The last of the Zarath Grand Armada waited there. Ships damaged and few, but they still flew banners of gold and black. Brooks turned to his officers. No tricks this time, he said. We go straight in. We end it today. The fleet opened fire. Railguns roared first. Long streaks of metal flew toward the defenses. Explosions bloomed bright against the dark of space. Zarath platforms cracked and broke. Their beams answered back. One human cruiser took a direct hit. It burned and spun away. But the others kept coming. Fighters launched in waves. They danced between enemy ships. They dropped bombs on weak points. Engines, weapon ports, bridge domes. Zareth pilots tried to fight back, but humans were faster now. They knew every move the enemy liked to make. General Ryan Mitchell led the ground assault teams. His transports waited behind the fleet. When the orbital path cleared, they dropped. Thousands of pods fell like rain. They hit the surface hard. Soldiers climbed out. They wore heavy armor. They carried rifles and grenades. They moved toward the capital city. Zareth soldiers met them at the gates. Tall gray figures in black armor. Energy spears glowed blue. They charged in tight lines. Humans did not stand still. They spread out. They used buildings for cover. They threw smoke bombs. They fired from windows and rooftops. The fight in the streets was loud and messy. Bullets hit armor. Spears cut through shields. Blood ran on gold stone roads. A Zerath captain shouted orders. His troops pushed forward. Then a human grenade landed among them. The blast threw bodies in every direction. The line broke. Sergeant Matthew Klein fought near the front. He had a scar across his cheek from an earlier battle. He carried a heavy rifle. He aimed careful. Every shot found a mark. When his ammo ran low, he picked up a fallen spear. He used it like a club. He pushed deeper into the city. Lieutenant Grace Sullivan moved with a small team. They had one job: reach the palace, get inside, capture the emperor if he still lived. They ran through side streets. They climbed walls. They avoided big sights. They slipped past guards who looked the other way. Inside the palace, Lord Corin Vex sat on his throne. The room was huge, walls covered in gold and jewels. Windows looked out over the burning city. His guards stood around him, but their hands shook. They heard the sounds of battle coming closer. A young officer ran in. "They are at the gates, my lord. The outer walls are down." Lord Corin stood up. His voice was low. "Then we fight here, to the last." But even as he spoke, the doors exploded inward. Human soldiers poured in. Grace Sullivan led them. She held her rifle steady. "Drop your weapons," she said, "or die." The guards looked at their lord. Lord Corin raised his hand. "No," he said, "we do not bow." He pulled a small blade. He stepped forward. Grace fired once. The shot hit his shoulder. He fell to one knee. Guards rushed to protect him. Humans met them. The fight was short. Spears clashed with rifles. Bodies fell. In the end, only Lord Corin remained. He knelt on the floor. Blood ran down his arm. Grace walked up to him. "You killed our generals," she said. "You laughed when they died." Lord Corin looked up. His black eyes were dull now. "I thought you were weak." "You were wrong," Grace said. She did not kill him. Orders were clear. Take him alive. Outside, the battle slowed. Zerath soldiers stopped fighting. Many threw down their spears. They raised empty hands. Humans moved through the city. They secured buildings. They helped the wounded. They did not burn homes. They did not hurt civilians. Their anger had a target, and the target was finished. Admiral Catherine Ellis sent a message to every human ship. "The palace is ours. The emperor is captured. The war is over." Cheers rose on every bridge. Soldiers hugged. Officers shook hands. But no one danced. They felt tired. They felt empty. Too many friends had died to reach this day. Admiral Stephen Brooks looked at the planet below. Smoke rose from the capital. Fires still burned in some places, but the big guns were silent now. He opened a channel to Earth. President Daniel Hayes appeared on the screen. His face looked older, but his eyes were clear. "Report," the president said. Brooks spoke slow. "Zerathia Prime is taken. Lord Corin is our prisoner. Their fleets are broken. Their empire no longer exists." Daniel Hayes closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, he nodded. "Good. Now we build something new." Brooks asked, "What do we do with the prisoner?" "Bring him to Earth," the president said. "Let the galaxy see. Let them see what happens when you kill our people in peace." The fleet stayed for weeks. They cleared the last pockets of resistance. They helped put out fires. They gave food to hungry Zerath civilians. Humans did not want slaves. They did not want revenge forever. They wanted the killing to stop. Free worlds that the Zerath had ruled sent messages. They thanked Earth. They asked to join a new alliance, one based on respect, one where no species attacked first. Earth said yes, but with a warning. Never raise a hand against us again. We will answer, and we will not stop. The three generals, Laura Bennett, Nicole Harper, Amanda Foster, were not forgotten. On Earth, statues rose in their honor. One in New York, one in Beijing, one in Lagos. People visited them, they left flowers, they told stories to children. These women tried peace, the stories said. When peace failed, others finished the job. Years later the galaxy changed. Trade flowed again, ships moved without fear. Old enemies became friends, but every captain knew one rule. Do not touch humans, do not test them, because when humans fight, they fight to win, and when they win, they make sure no one tries again. Admiral Stephen Brooks retired to a small house by the sea. He grew old. He watched the stars at night. Sometimes he thought of the generals, he thought of the war, he thought of the cost. One night, a young officer visited him. The officer asked, "Was it worth it, sir?" Brooks looked at the sea. Waves rolled in slow. "Worth it?" he said. "No war is worth it, but sometimes you have no choice. They killed our people," we answered. "And now the galaxy knows. Humans are not weak, humans are not soft, humans protect their own." The officer nodded and left. Brooks stayed outside. He looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, new ships flew, new worlds waited, and humanity flew among them, strong, ready, unbroken. The war was over.